Listen, I don't know how true this article is that I'm about to share with you pertaining to BG Wealth Sharing and other models that, operate similarly. But if it's true, the rabbit hole runs deep and you wouldn't want to associate with BG or anything, related to it. And I say if it's true just because, I don't know, but I've heard of this entity in this article and these articles before, because you got to understand, me just sharing my journey and experience with BG Wealth Sharing has attracted negative people as well. People have featured me in their videos, not knowing me to the core who I am, but still kind of discrediting me and my name just because I was sharing my journey with BG Wealth Sharing. But, my skin is thick and I'm able to push through and not even be bothered by it. But some of the entities who are connected to this article have shared me as if I'm the type of person who wants to push a scam knowingly. That said, the article was shared to me by somebody in the comments, a subscriber. I think his name was Terrence. I want to get it correct. Hopefully, I think it was Terrence. Salute to you for sharing it with me. He was like, hey, I got something, you want to see. He was just sharing it out of a good place. And I believe someone else is trying to share it with me as well. But I'm going to read the article and you let me know your thoughts. Some of you may know about this. I will say this particular article had to get put out quick because it's already talking about the new exchange that people are migrating to. So it literally got put out pretty quick, but it's also things associated with it that, has been going on for, some time now, to say the least. So shout out to Terrence for sharing this. And also, this is off subject, but on subject, shout out to Connie, who gave me a super chat. I didn't even know you can give a super chat inside of videos. I thought it had to be a live video. She gave me like a $2 super chat contributed to the channel. So I salute you because I didn't know you could do it, and that's just you showing appreciation to the channel. And, I greatly appreciate you. But let's get into the article because the rabbit hole gets deep, to say the least, if this happens to be true. All right, so here's the article, and it's on BehindMLM.com, and they're known for, quote unquote, exposing multi-level marketing companies. And I say quote unquote because all MLM and network marketing isn't a scam or a scheme or a Ponzi, in my personal opinion. It's just a different form of marketing. Word of mouth is some of the best form of marketing. Some people put money into ads and things of that nature. Some people put money into people to grow it. So it does not have to be a scheme or a scam done correctly. That's my perspective. And I know they've probably featured companies that I would probably take a step back and say, no, I don't think this is a Ponzi. This is just their business model. So I wouldn't agree with everything that comes from Behind MLM. That's just my personal thought process. However, I know they've done their homework on certain things. So this definitely is one of those things that, if this is true, you would want to not associate with anything related. So let's dive into it. So HQI Exchange Review, which is the new platform that they're transferring or, having people to migrate to after no longer, I guess, I don't know if they're completely done with the DSJ exchange, but anyway, this is the new exchange, and it says trading signals, click a button, Ponzi. So HQI Exchange, aka HQI X, fails to provide ownership or executive information on any of its website domains. At time of publication, the HQI Exchange operates from 29 known website domains. So it's kind of taking the same stance that DSJ did, where they have multiple sites and numbers and things of that nature. And what they did was track these registrations, and it's just showing how it's privately registered, and they tracked 29 of them at the date. And it says, note, due to the algorithm naming of the HQI Exchange domains, there are likely additional domains not listed above. As always, if an MLM company is not openly upfront about who's running or owns it, think long and hard about joining and or handing over any money. So here's the exchange product. It has no retailable products or services. Promoters are only able to market HQI Exchange promoter membership itself. HQI Exchange's compensation plan talks about how you deposit the $100 and it hides the ROI rates from consumers. The MLM side of HQI Exchange pays on recruitment of promoter investors. No, HQI Exchange hides referral commission rates from consumers. Typically, however, schemes like HQI pay referral commissions down 3 or more levels of recruitment. Now, this ain't even where it get deep at, so I'm just kind of going to brush over some of this, because you understand how referrals and things of that nature paying out. They're just talking about it doesn't have any product outside of people and money that comes in from recruiting. And then it says HQI is yet another click a button app Ponzi scheme. Testament to the copy and paste nature of click a button app Ponzi schemes. Someone has forgotten to input HQI Exchange into the scam's cookie cutter website and app source code. So let's keep going. It says HQI Exchange investment scheme is a run-of-the-mill trading signals rules. I don't know what that means by that. Typically, click-a-button app Ponzi provides signals to investors through shady social media groups. Telegram is often used, but HQI appears to generate bogus trading signals from within its apps. However, trading signals are provided. HQI Exchange promoters take the provided signals and feed them back into the Ponzi app that requires clicking buttons, hence the term click a button Ponzi. So you know how this works if you've been in BG Wealth Sharing. So I'm not going to go through everything. And then it says examples of already collapsed click a button Ponzi's using the same trading signals include, they got League of Seagull, BG Wealth Sharing, VSTSA, and then it says BehindMLM has documented hundreds of click a button app Ponzi since 2021. Most of them last a few weeks to a few months before collapsing. Click a button app Ponzi disappear by disabling both their websites and the app. This tends to happen without notice, leaving the majority of investors with a loss. Inevitable Ponzi math. In the lead up to a collapse, click a button Ponzi investors also tend to find their accounts locked. This typically coincides with a withdrawal request. As part of a collapse, click a button Ponzi scammers often initiate recovery scams. This sees the scammers demand investors pay a fee to access funds and or re-enable withdrawals. If any payments are made, withdrawals remain disabled or scammers cease communication. Organized crime interests from China operate scam factories behind the click-a-button Ponzi from Southeast Asia country. Now this is where it gets deep, because they're saying organized crime interests from China operate scam factories behind these click-a-button Ponzi's from Southeast Asia countries. And it says in September 2024, the U.S. Department of Treasury sanctioned Cambodian politician, however you say his name, Fat, over ties to Chinese human trafficking scam factories. So they tie some of this stuff to human trafficking scam factories, allegedly. Through various companies he owns, Fat is allegedly sheltered Chinese scammer operating out of Cambodia. Then it says, you know, how Myanmar claims to have deported over 50,000 Chinese scam factory scammers since October 2023. With the click-a-button app scams continuing to feature on BehindMLM, though it is clearly not enough. In late 2025, Chinese ministry representatives visited Thailand. The stated aim of the visit was to tackle organized Chinese crime gangs operating from Myanmar. In early February 2025, Thailand announced it had cut power internet access to Chinese scam factories operating across the border. And it just goes on to talk about different things. But the main thing that I'm saying is deep is if it's connected to anything human trafficking related. Further down, it goes on to, you know, show this image of this individual. And it says the Treasury said that the warlord Saw Chit Thu is a central figure in the network of illicit and highly lucrative cyber scam operations targeting Americans. The move puts financial sanctions on him, basically, that he heeds, and his two sons. The department said in the statement, freezing any U.S. assets that may hold and generally barring Americans from doing business with them. And then it also says May 25th, reports say that they have a towering scamming company. Cambodia, however, is reported to be a hotspot for Chinese criminal activity. So they're saying that Cambodia is likely the absolute global epicenter of next-gen transnational fraud in 2025, and it's certainly the country most primed in explosive growth going forward. Cambodia is becoming the center of an explosive global scam economy driven primarily by Chinese organized crime. It goes on to say that Chinese gangs are reported to operate in Cambodia under the protection of unnamed local politicians. In June 2025, Amnesty International claimed Cambodia's government was deliberately ignoring abuses by cybercrime gangs who have trafficked people from across the world, including children, into, slavery, brutal scam compounds. The London-based group said in a report that it had identified 53 scam centers, dozens more suspected sites, etc., etc. The prison-like compounds were ringed from high fences with razor wire, guarded by armed men, staffed by trafficking victims, forced defraud people across the globe. It said those inside subjected to punishments, including shocks from electrical batons, dark room, crazy stuff. So I don't know how true this is. That's why I said allegedly. If it's true, anything being connected to these type of individuals, then you definitely don't want no involvement, none whatsoever, as it relates to this. Let's see if it's anything else significant. So we're saying that this person is likely the mastermind, whatever his name is, Chen Zi, originally from China, but having obtained Cambodian citizenship at some point is accused of being the mastermind behind these types of crimes. As alleged, the defendant was the mastermind behind a sprawling cyber fraud empire operating under the Prince Group umbrella, a criminal enterprise built on human suffering. Trafficked workers were confined to a prison-like compounds, forced to, carry online scams on an industrial scale, preying on thousands worldwide, including many here in the U.S. Individuals held against their wills at compounds, all kind of different things. I ain't even trying to read it all. It's, so opposite of my my thought process. So I don't even, but you get the point. If it's tied to any of this, I know any of you with consciousness wouldn't want to be connected to any of this at all. So this is just something that I looked at and wanted to just share it because it was shared with me. And like I said, it's all about skill sets, assets, and access. I don't know what the truth of this is. I know people can put together information, articles, things of that nature. And it goes on to say a whole lot more stuff, but I don't even feel like reading it. But I got down to the thesis of what I was saying. Let me know if you know anything, any thoughts, or whatever you care to share. But the rabbit hole gets deep if it's connected to these things, because a lot of times people who have started these companies are foreigners. And considering that the U.S. is targeted, it's rather interesting, because a lot of us, being born in a capitalistic society and money being a hierarchy of how we, tend to operate in America, we're like perfect candidates for these types of things. And it's like, okay, it might start somewhere, but then, it targets America, and it, one person at a time, it ends up going viral and becoming a big thing because they understand how Americans tend to operate. So it could be some definite high mental level of intelligence that's pulling these types of things off in foreign areas. I'm not sure if it's connected to all of the things that it said or mentioned, but if it is, I know nobody who's connected to me with a soul will want to be in any affiliation with anything of that magnitude, so that's that. But I had to share this article because it was shared with me from a good place, and they was just like, hey, I want you to read this, to see what's going on, yada 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 yada. What are your thoughts? You let me know. Do you think this is just a smear campaign? Do you feel like this has some truth to it? You may know more than I know. I just come to document what I'm learning and through the process, because people are still connected to and tying themselves to things BG Wealth sharing related, migrating funds, initial investments, all different types of things are still happening. So I want to make sure I share certain things. Now, in conclusion, I did see some other things that Professor Stephen Beard said. Somebody on the team or somebody in the chats was just basically like, nah, he said even more than that. And he did go in and did drop some F-bombs, as they stated, on certain things. And he was saying that he's going to, emerge from the ashes. This is just a temporary setback. Nothing really happens to him that he doesn't allow, and that anything that happens to him basically happens for him, because he will emerge, in a positive manner in some way, shape, form, fashion. So he's saying he's going to emerge from this scenario and still come out on top. And it's just going to be a matter for those who are riding with him to benefit, or not. Something along those lines in so many words. But I did see the additional things that he said. I just didn't feel like copy and pasting and turn it into a whole spread. But share your thoughts below. Let me know what you think until we speak again on the next video. Salute.